Hello and welcome to a Sonic Lab special. We've got Jackson here from Modal Electronics. We're very fortunate that Modal are actually just down the road in Bristol, which means quite often we get the opportunity to see something you're working on, and that's kind of what you brought in today, right?
That's it. We've got an early production prototype of a new family member, ARGON8.
So this is a brand new synthesizer.
Brand new, yeah, new to the Modal family, although leaning on some of the older tech that we've kind of released over the past few products and building on it into something a little bit more, just a little bit higher end, I guess.
So, aerial view, Polysynth.
8-voice, wavetable, Polysynth. Yeah, we've got 37 full-size semi-weighted keys. Lots of fun in the oscillator section to play with. And a joystick, which is really lovely. And a little bit more connectivity than we've had on our previous products as well.
And larger holes.
Larger holes, a few larger holes, yeah.
So the idea behind this is it's kind of building on, I guess it looks like there's some borrows from the early Modal stuff, the kind of big flagship stuff, but also sort of sculpt and whatnot afterwards, right?
There's kind of little grains of everything, yeah. So there's some lovely stuff from the 002 in wave shapes and de-rez, which is kind of one of the oscillator modifiers. And yeah, then there's a few things that we kind of have that are similar to things that you'll find on Sculpt or on Craft Synth, so some of these kind of voice modes and things like that.
So this is there any analog to it, or this is
purely
DSP
digital,
right?
Yeah, proudly digital synthesizer, no analog as
well. As we know, Sculpt sounded extremely organic to me. I did a little jam a couple of weeks ago, and it was just I've forgotten how many harmonics and whatnot you could get from it. So I suppose let's have a look and see. Let's get in. I mean, have you got some sounds that we can play? I mean, I know this is sort of not production yet, so
it's not. No, I mean the look will change. The patches have been done kind of just over the past couple of days and stuff. So everything is kind of subject to change at this point. But we have some stuff we can listen to.
Okay, right, let's take a look.
We'll just program in a little arpeggiator.
Oh, so that's a step arpeggiator, so it's almost a sequencer.
It's programmable, so we could put rests in there as well, but if I just hold the Art button and I program some notes in, it will follow whatever I play. But we can also sequence stuff, so we have a real-time sequencer in here as well.
Right.
So you have programmable arpeggiator and a 512 step sequencer.
And that sounds like there's some effects going on in here as well, or is that just release?
We do have some effects in here. There's a small amount of delay on this one. We have basically 3 effect slots going on here,
right?
Which will break into categories of kind of delays, modulators, and reverbs and things like this. At the moment, we have 3 for you to play with.
Right. Okay. So
you're
again,
allowed to look at, but
early stuff.
Yeah, there's a little delay in here, which is quite nice. You can get a lot of feedback from that delay, which is.
Okay, you can.
It's quite nice.
So the other thing I was going to ask about, does it do parameter recording like some of the other Modal stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have 4 animation slots. So when you go into record mode, it will start to listen to all of the things that you're doing, and it will record the first 4 that you touch, essentially.
Right, so,
you can clear them and kind of put whatever you want in and adjust them through the app and things like that.
Okay, well maybe we should kind of come back to a sort of basic building block and kind of look at, because I noticed on the oscillator section here, it's a similar kind of dual wave, dual oscillator, oscillator section.
So it's very similar to the oscillator section in Craft Synth 2.0. The main difference is being the resolution of the wave shapes, the wavetables themselves, is a lot higher, and we've added in another feature. With Craft Synth 2.0, we could do these oscillator modifiers, which is like phase modulation, frequency modulation, things of that nature. So we have the same thing here with the oscillator mods, but we've added an extra step beyond that to add some static functions that you can't dial in, but will kind of add an overall modulation to the oscillators before they reach the filters.
Right, okay, so lots of harmonic capabilities.
And
with Sculpt and with Craft, you have this sort of like oscillator division or cloning, or I'm not sure what the technology was you called it, where you could spread effectively, so you end up with tons and tons of them. Is that the same kind of principle here?
It is, and we will work from the very least 4 oscillators per voice up to all 8. So in different modes they act differently. It depends on kind of what combination of oscillator modifiers and wave modifiers you're using. but you will have, at the very minimum, kind of 4 oscillators per voice.
Wow. Okay. So, but you address them like you do in Sculpt and Craft in pairs. So in left and right, or well, not left and right, A and B, or
Sort of.
1 and 2.
Yeah,
right.
Essentially, yeah.
Well, okay. Is there something you want to show us? I mean, nice to hear some raw oscillator and hear what the kind of how much bass is there.
So let's initialize the patch. Just come to a simple sine wave here, and we've got VA wave shapes as the first bank. There's I think 24 banks of different wave shapes here, and how it works is we have 5 wave shapes ganged around the dial. So any bank that you choose is going to give you access to those 5 shapes and all of the positions in between.
Ah, right. Okay. So you're scanning through the wavetable. Okay, so as is often the case now in a lot of modern synths, we get kind of wave readouts, and that's very handy. And this, I guess, this applies to whatever parameter. So you've got kind of quite strong GUI feedback from
Yeah,
that
so
stuff.
you can see with the filter we have that sort of stuff here, and anything will give you some readout to what you're doing, so that you don't have to kind of look anywhere else for the information.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I diverted you there. So with the wave, when we got the spread stuff, do you get into the same kind of chordal and interval things?
We've moved a few of them off to kind of optimize it a bit, but we have the same spread function. So we go up to halfway, which is traditional detune, and then we come into splitting all of the oscillators into chords. So instead of kind of slowly detuning themselves there, they then snap into intervals.
Right. So can I just hit? That's going to be a bit
get you
weird.
up a bit. Go on.
It'll be a bit. And that's an octave one. That's what I was. Can we
2
go
octaves
down? Can we go down?
Yeah.
Just want to. Okay, so it gets down there as well. All right.
So as I said, we have a lot of different wave banks on here. So we just press shift and we can shift through them all. I don't know if you can see with my hand in the way, but we have stuff from the 002 here, quite a few banks there. Some stuff that we've, some stuff that we've been working on from different kind of oscillator types, new oscillator types, and then traditional ones like formants. Right. A lot of miscellaneous stuff.
So again, I mean, I can hear there's quite a lot of buzz and harmonic richness in there, which then presumably the filter can kind of
tame,
modify quite nicely.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on to, I guess, the filter section, as we've kind of come through here. Obviously, we can modify the oscillators here and get into the wave mods, which is a huge topic to get into. But let's move quickly onto the filter. We have a 2-pole state variable filter in here, which is similar to that you would find in Sculpt or CraftSynth 2.0. It's been adjusted a little bit because obviously the oscillators are a lot brighter, they're a lot higher resolution, so we've had to kind of make some adjustments to make
gain
it as...
staging, I'd imagine. And 8 voices going into a filter are going to...
Yeah. At the moment we just have 1 filter type in here. We have quite a few others that we are potentially going to sync in here that you can choose.
Right.
But at the moment we're just working off this 2-pole.
And it's the same, it's the sort of, it moves through low pass, band pass, high pass type of...
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay. Right.
There's some other things floating about which we...
Well, have you got any sounds we could hear that maybe have, that show off the filter a bit?
Absolutely.
That sounded like there was a lot of LFO action. Is that because you've got LFO per voice?
That's, exactly. So that's the global LFO. Or
no, that sounded like there's LFO per voice. But
per voice LFO. So we've got one which is global and one which is per voice.
Right,
and that is, every note that I press is giving a different value to the LFO. Essentially what we do is we kind of take a division of the root note so that it's always...
It's got a musical kind of connection. Yes.
Exactly. So at really high values, it turns into a modulator, overtones and undertones either side are coming. But lower values, you just get this strange bubbling kind of warbling. It's nice.
Okay, let's have a couple more patches.
Let's go.
Have you got a favourite?
I have a bunch that I did last night which aren't named. We'll just scroll into them and see what we come up with. There's some really lovely ones in there. But...
So the joystick presumably is assignable in the same way as it was on the 002 and the 001. And
Yeah.
So there are lots of mod slots, because that's another thing, isn't it? The sort of matrix.
Yeah, so we've expanded this a little bit as well. We have 8 mod slots that are completely sort of definable, user definable. I think it's 12 by 50 something matrix. It's quite a lot of options there. We also have 4 static slots, which are for the more common assignments, like aftertouch to cut off or note to cut off. And
mod wheel to LFO.
exactly. So we've moved those off of the user definable ones just to give you all of those 8 slots to actually have a bit more room to play with. The joystick is an interesting one. We've got it so that we can do some locks on it. So if I wanted to keep it at the LFO stage, I could move it.
Okay. Right, which gets around the fact, because I mean, obviously with the mod wheel, it's not sprung, so yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we can leave it in a position, and actually you can take away the pitch bends from the x-axis and use all 4 axes for different things if you wanted to.
This is almost strap-on size, this, isn't it? You could just imagine a couple of like.
Don't do that.
You know, okay, all right. Another couple of sounds before we move on. We've got some envelope action going on. Oh, and some aftertouch there.
The aftertouch is a little bit, it needs some adjustment at the moment.
Right, so this is not fully calibrated or fully voiced. So I guess we should, modulators, how many LFOs, how many envelopes?
Okay, so we have 2 LFOs, as we mentioned, one global, one per voice. We've got 3 envelopes, so we have one just strictly for the filter, one for the amp envelope, and one which is a mod envelope, so you can assign to anything that you'd like. So really, the mod envelope and the LFOs is your kind of modulation.
And is it envelope per voice across those as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 3 8 24 envelopes potentially.
Yeah, quite a lot.
And the aftertouch is it poly or is it just regular kind of channel aftertouch?
Regular.
Okay, I'm sensing that might change by the smile on your face, but you're not going to tell me, are you?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Right. Another couple of sounds.
Let's go for it. Yeah. Go for beauty.
That sounds like there's some noise going on in there, or maybe is it resonance only, or?
You're right, resonance and noise. So we come over to this side.
Oh, that's a nice graphic. Let me see that.
Yes. So this is our mix between the 2 oscillators. So you can independently mix them, you can independently tune them, and you can apply independent wave modifiers to each. So there's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of fun in the oscillator section. But this comes out sounding kind of sort of like a piano.
Yeah. And is there some effect on that, or is that just release on the?
Just release. It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. And I guess, you know, so even though this is 8 voice, I mean, you know, sometimes you're going to want to do mono stuff. This is mono timbral, we should add, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what about sort of mono voices with a bit of stacking going on? I mean, I noticed there's a whole section here for the actual, it says mono, poly, unison, stack. So there are patch modes in here, or keyboard modes.
Yeah, there are. I'm going to find a patch and we can maybe adjust it so that we can get something monophonic out of it and you can have a look.
Because I remember on the Sculpt there was a way, when you go mono to poly, there's obviously sort of gaining differences because you're stacking up 8 voices on one, or you're just thinning it out and having more polyphonic.
Which you'll experience here as well with the mono voices, you're only getting a single voice, whereas with the unison or stack modes, as kind of implied, they will stack up. And you can see on the readouts here, so we have a stack 2 or a stack 4, which will go through those modes, and the same with the unison, 2, 4 or 8.
And then you could detune. Oh, there's something very thunderous down there on that sound, isn't there? I can feel the concrete floor going a little bit. And I suppose we got stereo output.
Yes.
Is it stereo effects only, or is the actual oscillator part of it stereo as well?
We can pan the oscillators. We've got some oscillator drift going on and pan that we can do here, and the effects are stereo in, stereo out.
Right, so you got stereo input as well. Is there an actual?
There is an audio in on the back. We've got a 3.5mm audio input, so we can feed stuff through to the effects as well.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm trying to think what else we need to hear. I guess more sounds is probably the best thing. I mean, let it speak. I realised, as I said, this isn't voice, so you haven't got a whole lot of sounds to choose from. So that's got a delay on it that's sort of buzzing those.
Yeah, so at the moment we have...
Oh, did that go really up high? Can you actually... So you can you get almost car plus on there, or is it...
There'll be different delay types which we can do that sort of stuff. With this one it goes relatively short, but the lower increments are quite far between.
Right.
But we do have a really interesting chorus on here which is kind of capable of coming quite high up. If we just do a little bit of low values here.
So yeah, if you can map key position to chorus time, please.
At the moment these aren't modulatable, but they are going to be.
Okay.
It's just not implemented at the moment, and I cannot wait for that to be implemented.
Well, that's, I mean,
the
many new modern polysynths, you know, bringing the effects engine into the synthesis process is key, I think. And so if you're going to be doing that, that's going to make
our DSP engineer is doing it all kind of at the same time, so he's working on the voicing and the effects and stuff, so he is really the key to this. He's worked really, really hard on the effects that we've got so far, and they're sounding cracking. So when I finally get my little pause on the new ones, I'm going to be very, very happy.
So I'm just sort of checking the build as well, because I know that the Sculpt and the Craft were sort of more affordable, you know, that's budget end of the market. This feels actually pretty solid. Is this wood on the end?
Yeah, we've got bamboo and cheeks here. We've got a steel chassis underneath and then an anodized steel top plate.
Yeah.
So it is kind of built like a tank, I guess.
It feels quite chunky, actually, and obviously we've got the bigger connectors. And the keybed, we did say it's got aftertouch. Is it anything fancy, or is it just a sort of...
Fatar TP9,
okay.
Semi-weighted, aftertouch, yeah.
So you got Fatar in there as well. Okay, well, I guess the big question is going to be, you know, when and how much, which is, I know as an early stage, I don't know whether you've got any pricing information yet.
And not that I'll share at this point, but it will be sometime before Christmas, maybe sometime quite a bit before Christmas, but we'll wait until we have a definite date.
I mean, is affordable something that you're aiming for with this?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
It's competitive. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to leave it there unless I start to bring out the thumb screws. So maybe we could have a couple more sounds. Is there? Oh, actually, I was going to ask: is there an app? Because I know you got an app for the Sculpt, and it's that whole ecosystem going to be expanded for this.
It will exist in the same app, so it will. As you plug it in, it will kind of pop up under a new tab.
And that's so the USB is MIDI only on this, or is it going to be
MIDI only? There's no power, so we have a PSU, a 9-volt PSU here. But then we have the same thing, so we have clock sync in and out, and as we said before, kind of the 3.5mm audio in, sustain and expression inputs, and yeah, the line outs left and right, and a headphone out. So there's enough connectivity. Obviously full-size MIDI as well, I should say.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's always nice, because it's always the wrong adapter, isn't it? Otherwise, or it can be.
That nightmare.
Yes, it can be. Well, okay, Jackson, maybe you could play us out with a couple more sounds, but thank you so much for coming in and showing us.
Thanks for having us.